Ahora, porque como acabamos de oír, escuchar es definitivamente un acto muy importante y lo digo desde la perspectiva de una persona que vive del sonido y como realizador de podcast que tiene la particularidad de ser una experiencia muy cercana. Y lo que vamos a conversar ahora, lo que va a conversar ahora Neha, tiene todo que ver con eso, con las acciones que involucran los mecanismos de la escucha, las acciones mentales que están en el arte de oír a otra persona. Y sobre eso es de lo que va a hablar la doctora Neha Sangwan. Welcome, Neha. Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us again. How are you? You're mute, I think. Don't worry about it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hello, Neha.
What a beautiful piece, and what a majestic bridge between purpose and listening.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What a master he is.
Yes, he is. He is.
So thank you for that. And I am really excited today to talk about some deeper levels of listening. And the reason is that this will tie together everything. The tools that you're going to learn now will tie together the small group work that you were speaking of. How do we bridge the generations in our families and our new workforce? Raj spoke so eloquently about his own purpose and how important it was to listen and honor himself. Not just look out in the world and see what he can accomplish, but also to look inward and to listen to the story and the plot twists of his own life, to give him the clues that helped him find his purpose. So on a very practical level, people say to me, well, that's really nice. You tell me to find my purpose, but how do you do that? That's what we will be exploring today. Step one is listening on a different level. The way that you've been listening in the world right now has gotten you this far. So that tells me you've been doing a pretty good job of listening outward in the world. What we're going to do now is flip that and do a little bit of inward listening and listening to one another. And as we do that, we're going to have this safe place where we can all practice and elevate and really deepen our level of listening with one another. So let's start our talk on how conscious leaders listen. So we're going to, if you're out there thinking to yourself, listening, that's easy. I do it all the time. I know how to do that. I don't want you to confuse the simplicity of listening to how challenging it is to consistently apply it in your frantic, overscheduled, and overstimulated worlds. And so, you're going to experience the power of listening today. And this is the hook I'd like you to know. If you're someone who thinks, oh gosh, here comes something emotional, how am I going to, it's going to take up so much time I don't have. What I want you to know is today's tools are going to bridge you to people that you aren't sure how to connect to. It's going to also save you time. So while it strengthens your relationship, resolves conflict, it will also save you time. So let's remember, listening is simple, but it's not always easy. So let's go on this adventure together and let's make it a lot easier. Let's start with level one, listening. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the first two levels of listening, and then we're going to have you join in to practice this as well. So level one. Level one listening is closed listening. And if you take on this stance, even in your body language, you'll know exactly what kind of listening this is. This is you enduring the conversation. You're literally protecting yourself in some way because you're one of three things: distracted. There's an email you need to send, a meeting you need to prepare for, some conflict you're trying to resolve in your head, or maybe you're daydreaming about your next vacation. Whatever it is, you're distracted and you're not listening to the person in front of you. The second main way that main reason people have for closed listening is they already know. They already know what you're going to say. They've heard it a million times before. They already know. And you can tell by their closed arms, closed legs, maybe looking away, rolling their eyes, right? This also is really key when you have resistance to receiving input. So this type of listening will ensue. You think you already know the outcome, and you think you know best. And the third way is if you just don't care. You're not interested in the topic at hand. For people who aren't interested in politics or speaking about religion or whatever it is, and somebody starts this conversation, they don't care. So either you're distracted, you already know, or you don't care. And no matter which reason it is, what's going on in your head is blah, 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 blah. That's all you're hearing. So you are physically present, but you are not present. And this is very, very important because I want you to take a moment and think about which age group universally can channel all three of those at once. They're distracted. They already know what you're going to say. And by the way, they don't care. What age group, right? Teenagers across the world, right? They're listening to you, but here they are. They're distracted. They're moving around. They got their headphones in. You say, "Could you please take that out?" They say, "I can hear you," right? Meanwhile, they already know what you're going to say. You're going to tell them to please be safe, not drive with anyone, who's been drinking, and you want them to come home on time. But the only reason they're listening to you is because there would be consequences if they didn't. You hold the car keys, you hold the curfew, you hold the ATM card. So that's a different kind of listening, and people do it, but it's not always effective. And the most important thing for you to realize right now is with whom and when and around what topics are you a level 1 listener? Because before I can help you get to your purpose and discovering this, you first have to understand the moments in your life when you're not listening. So I'll give you a very quick example, and then Raj, I'll ask you to also think of an example of level 1 listening. My father loves to say, he thinks it's so unique that I'm a 5'8", 5'9" Indian woman. So every time he sees me after he hasn't seen me in a while, we'll sit down to have some tea and he'll say, "Oh, Neha, you're so uniquely tall and you would be so good on the golf course. You could be a professional golfer. You and I should go out golfing." Okay, I have never golfed in my life. I am athletic. I play tennis. I've told him many, many times. Right now, I have no interest in 8 hours on the golf course. I've been telling him this for years. And immediately I move into closed listening. Raj, when is the time that you in your life show up as a closed listener?
Yeah, well, I'm not proud of it, but I have a special needs son, and he has, part of his condition is he's fixated on certain topics. So two of them are, he loves to go on the computer and drive on different highways, with Google Maps. And he's constantly telling me about, I drove from here to Seattle on Route 90. And so I've heard all of those things so many times. Or he'll talk about the next video game system is Xbox or PlayStation or which one. And he literally repeats himself, hundreds of times on those subjects. So I have to admit that I do, when he gets into that gear, I do kind of tune out, and pretend to be listening, but not really.
Yeah, and in the chat, any of you that would like to share, that would like to be brave and share ways and times that you're a level 1 listener, please do that. So level 2 listening. Level 2 listening is head listening. It's a type of listening where you're really thinking more about yourself than you are listening to another person, right? So closed listening might allow you to multitask, right? And that may seem seductively efficient, right? Head listening actually has you miss what's happening around you and sometimes repeat what someone just said. So let me give you a few examples of this. The interesting thing is head listening, level 2, has good intentions. So your intention is to look good. Your intention is to sound smart, to be articulate, wow the room. That's what you want to do with head listening. So you go inward, right, to judiciously plan your spontaneous answer. And this is what it looks like in your head while you're doing it. So let's say in your small group, we ask you a question and everyone's going around introducing themselves. If you are a level 2 listener, what you'll be doing is you'll be more worried about, oh, I better come up with something good. I better think of something unique to say. And you become the planner. So this is one of 3 ways that you can execute head listening. Now, the second way, before we go there, I would like Jorge to come in. He doesn't know what I'm going to ask him, in this conversation quite yet. He can just answer honestly, and I'm going to show you what the second type of head listening sounds like. And Jorge, please keep in mind, I'm somebody who wants to impress you. I'm really excited. I'm excited to be with you. I might have just met you at a party or ended up in an elevator with you. Mm-hmm. And I say something to you like, Jorge, before COVID, where did you go on your last vacation?
I went to Spain.
Oh my gosh, I went to Spain. And when I went to Spain, it was so incredible. I took my whole family. We all went. Okay, so I just hijacked you.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm listening to you, but I'm not really listening. I'm listening. And the moment you say one word that I can make about who? Me. I jump in and I start trying to say, you and me, we're the same. See, we're the same. We have something in common. And so what it actually is me thinking you're really important and me wanting you to know that we're connected. That sometimes I jump the gun. How connected did you feel to me in that very brief conversation?
Not so much, actually. I'm sorry, not so much.
Yeah, so notice, are you a planner? Notice when you're really excited to meet someone, you get an opportunity, when do you become the hijacker? Now, will you do one more conversation with me? And we'll take this a little bit further. This is the third way that you can be a head listener. Okay, we did the planner, the hijacker. Here we go again. Oh, Jorge, where did you go on your last vacation?
I went to Spain.
Wow. Oh, wow. I went to Spain a few years ago. Where did you stay?
I stay in a hotel that's called Iberoestar.
Oh, well, did you know that my family owns that? My uncle owns that hotel.
Really? You want to marry me?
So what I've just done is I've not only hijacked you, I've done the 1-2 punch. Yes. I've given you, I hijacked you and then I one-upped you. Now, this idea of one-upping somebody is a way that many people think connects them to another person so that you think I'm important. Uh-huh. But in fact, I've never listened to anything about your trip. I'm not interested in you and your experience. I'm interested in showing you who I am. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you for that.
No, please.
What I would like to do in this moment is share a slightly embarrassing story about myself. Some of you may know Brene Brown. She is a communicator and a leadership teacher in the world. If you're not familiar with her, I think you'll really enjoy her. I have followed her work since 2009. Well, in 2015, we ended up speaking at the same conference. You can only imagine what 7 years of pent-up anxiety and excitement to be speaking together at a conference was like for me. So I see her at the hotel checking in, and all of a sudden, let's just say it wasn't by chance that we ended up in the elevator together. I orchestrated that one very well. We end up in the elevator together, and I said, "Hi, Brene, so nice to meet you." And she said, "Oh, hi, do I know you?" I said, "Yeah, my name's, you don't know me, my name's Neha. But do you know David Eagleman?" Because I knew we had a mutual friend. She said, "Oh, yes, I do." I said, "Well, I was invited to his wedding." I started going off on the most random things. So embarrassing. I hijacked her, I one-upped her. The good news about being in leadership development and being aware and listening to yourself and reflecting is that I then followed her downstairs into the green room, and I said to her, "I'm really embarrassed about the conversation I just had with you in the elevator. What I really wanted to tell you is I admire your work, and I'm honored to be here with you. So one thing I want you to know is if you are ever a level 1 and 2 listener, which I'm sure someone other than Raj and I are, sometimes you can always do a take 2. Just like in the movies, you can do a take 2 and let someone know, you know what? The way I answered at the question you asked in the elevator or at lunch at the meeting, it wasn't exactly how I wanted to come across. Can I try that again?" So be listening to yourself as you are listening to other people. And when you don't do it the way you want to, you always have a chance to do a take 2. So right now we will be moving into some small groups, and we are going to share. This is going to be more of an open discussion. Last time everybody introduced themselves in personal and professional ways. This is more of an open dialogue. And what you'll all be doing in a smaller group is sharing the experiences of the times you show up this way, level 1 and level 2 listening. Why is that important? It's very important because when you come back, we will take those examples and show you how to turn them around to a much deeper level of listening. I want you to get the ideas from your colleagues, from your peers. I want you to share as well. Everyone doesn't have to speak in the small group, but certainly have a lively discussion and be open with each other. So now you will be moving into your small groups, and your small groups will be similar to the ones that you had before. And there's 2 people that have now come back, Raul and Karen, will be leading the groups that Neha and Fernando were leading. So good luck, and I can't wait to see you in just 20 minutes. I'll see you shortly.